You didn't find this video. This video found you. Stop. Breathe. Listen. No, really. Listen. There is a moment, rare, unpredictable, sacred, when something cracks through the noise of life and whispers to you from the other side. A feeling, a memory, a longing. Maybe you felt it in the middle of the night, staring at the ceiling while the world sleeps. Maybe you felt it walking through nature, sensing a presence too vast to name. Maybe you felt it in heartbreak and loss, in the raw emptiness that nothing can soothe. That moment is now. This is not an accident. This is not a coincidence. This is not a random video you clicked out of curiosity. If you are here, it means something in you is ready. Ready for what? Not for more knowledge, not for more answers, not for more spiritual entertainment, but for an encounter. An encounter with a text that has traveled across millennia, through fire and exile, through forbidden libraries and secret orders, waiting for souls who were ready to hear what no one else could. The Corpus Hermeticum. You've heard the name. Maybe you've seen it quoted in a meme, mentioned in a podcast, referenced in a book about manifestation or ancient wisdom. But let me ask you, do you know what it really is? Most people don't. Most people think the Corpus Hermeticum is a guidebook to personal power, a manual to master the laws of the universe, a key to unlock the secrets of creation so you can get what you want. They think it's about manifestation, about attraction, about aligning your energy to make life give you what you desire. But that's not just wrong. It's dangerous, because the Hermetic texts were never written to feed your ego. They were written to dissolve it. They were not written to teach you how to manipulate reality. They were written to show you that reality is not what you think. They were not written to empower your sense of self. They were written to shatter it. So why do we keep misunderstanding them? Why do we keep turning deep mystical transmissions into shallow self-help slogans? Because the real teachings are too raw, too uncompromising, too costly for the modern mind. We live in a culture addicted to achievement, consumption, identity, and control. We want to upgrade, improve, accumulate, optimize. But the Hermetic path is not about upgrading. It's about undoing. It's about peeling away the layers until nothing remains but the naked, trembling awareness of being. And here's the paradox. That nothingness, that terrifying emptiness, is the only place where true power can be found. Not the power to control the world, the power to be free from it. So I need you to understand right now before we go any further. This video is not safe. It is not designed to make you feel good. It is not here to boost your confidence or give you a new label to wear. It is here to confront you with truths so old, so primal, so intimate, they will reach into the marrow of your being and pull something loose. If you stay, you will not walk away the same. You will walk away undone. You will walk away emptied. You will walk away awake. Are you ready for that? Take a breath, feel your heart, listen to the silence between these words. That silence is the doorway. That silence is where the real teaching begins. The Corpus Hermeticum is not a philosophy. It is not a religion. It is not a system. It is an encounter with the real. And the real cannot be tamed. It cannot be marketed. It cannot be sold. The real comes like a storm, like a fire, like a death, and it leaves you bare, trembling, alive. Over the next hour, we will walk together through 5 teachings from the Corpus Hermeticum that you have been told over and over in watered-down, mistranslated, misunderstood ways. 5 teachings that, when stripped back to their living essence, will rupture your sense of reality. We will explore the nature of God, not as a figure, not as a creator, not as an external being, but as the breath that moves through you right now. We will explore the relationship between mind and matter, not as a hierarchy, but as a shimmering dance where one becomes the other. We will explore fate and free will, not as opposites, but as 2 hands clasped in eternal movement. We will explore death and rebirth, not as events, but as a living process happening in you right now. We will explore gnosis, not as intellectual knowing, but as the annihilation of the knower. And as we walk through these gates, I ask you, not to believe me, not to agree, not to take notes, but to feel. Feel what stirs inside. Feel what resists. Feel what aches. Feel what breaks open. You are not here by chance. You are here because something in you has called this moment forth. Because you have reached the edge of the known and the known no longer satisfies. Because you have tasted every pleasure, every achievement, every belief, every identity, and still, at 3 a.m., alone with your own breath, you feel it, the emptiness, the hunger, the holy wound, and you are ready. Ready not to be fixed, but to be unmade. Ready not to become someone new, but to remember who you were before you forgot. So I tell you again, stop, breathe, listen. This is not a video. This is a ritual. This is not content. This is contact. This is not information. This is vibration. Let the words wash over you. Let the meanings dissolve. Let the old structures crack. You are standing at the threshold. The only question is, will you step through? The Corpus Hermeticum has waited for you for centuries. It will wait no longer. What is God? No, not the God you were taught as a child. Not the God of paintings and prayers, not the God of punishments and rewards, not the God you were told to fear or to please. What is God when you peel away the centuries of doctrine? What remains when the names fall silent? This is where the Hermetic journey begins. You see, the God of the Corpus Hermeticum is not a character, not a being who sits above creation, watching, judging, intervening. It is not the image handed down to you by religion or by rebellion. It is something far stranger and far closer. It is not personal, yet it is intimate. It is not a creator in the sense of making things from outside, yet it is the very source of everything that is. It is not a deity that demands worship. It is the breath inside the worshipper. It is not the light you see. It is the seeing. And here is where the mind begins to falter. Because this is not a truth you can grasp with thought. It is a presence you must dissolve into. But why does this matter? Because most of the suffering you carry, the ache you feel, the restlessness that haunts you, the endless sense of missing something, comes from one wound: separation, the sense of being cut off from meaning, cut off from source, cut off from the divine. Even if you do not believe in God, you feel it. It shows up as loneliness, as despair, as the quiet voice inside that says, "Nothing I do will ever be enough." It shows up as addiction, as distraction, as the compulsive need to prove, to succeed, to matter. It shows up as spiritual seeking, as the endless search for teachers, techniques, experiences that might finally fill the hole. But the hole is not there because you lack something. It is there because you have forgotten something. You have forgotten that the ground of your being is not absence. It is presence. The Hermetic God is not an idea to believe. It is the reality you are swimming in right now without knowing. It is the pulse behind your breath, the silence under your thoughts, the stillness beneath your becoming. It is not the object you pray to. It is the presence that listens through you. And this is where it becomes dangerous. Because if this is true, it means everything you cling to for identity, your story, your achievements, your wounds, your dreams, is thinner than mist. It means you are not what you think you are. And that is terrifying. Most people do not want God. They want certainty. They do not want presence. They want control. They do not want surrender. They want negotiation. But the Hermetic God cannot be bargained with. It cannot be controlled. It cannot be possessed. It can only be entered through love, through awe, through surrender. And here is the paradox. When you surrender to it, you do not become less. You become whole, because all the masks fall away. All the effort to be someone, to get somewhere, to prove something, dissolves. And what remains is the simple, unbearable fact. You are already home. You were never outside. You were never lost. And yet to realize this is to pass through a kind of death, not physical death, but ego death. The death of the seeker. The death of the one who thought it could reach the infinite as an achievement. So why is this so hard? Why do we keep missing it? Because we are addicted to images. We want a God we can picture, a God we can name, a God we can please. We want a spiritual path that makes us special, That gives us status, identity, purpose. But the Hermetic God is not interested in making you special. It is interested in making you real. And realness is not glamorous. It is raw. It is naked. It is vulnerable. It is standing before the mystery, without defenses, without knowing, without needing to know. So let me ask you, where do you resist this? Where do you cling to control? To identity? To the need to have it figured out? What would happen if just for a moment you let all of that fall? If you allowed yourself to feel the terror of not knowing, the ache of longing, the exquisite vulnerability of being a fleeting, fragile, luminous wave in the ocean of being? That ache, that is the doorway. That longing, that is the thread. Follow it and you will not find answers. You will find yourself dissolving into the answer. The Corpus Hermeticum says, God is a circle whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere. It is not somewhere else. It is here. It is now. It is this breath, this silence, this listening, not as a concept, as reality. And when you touch it, not with your mind but with your being, something shifts. The restless grasping softens. The stories loosen. The need to be someone, to get somewhere, to hold on, dissolves. And you begin to taste what freedom really is. Not the freedom to do whatever you want, the freedom to be this moment, just as it is, to be life, without adding anything. This is the God the Hermetic texts point to, more than a creator, less than a deity, not an object of worship, not an authority above, a presence within, a presence without, a presence beyond within and without. When you remember this, the seeking stops, not because you have arrived at an endpoint, but because you have realized there was nowhere to go. You were the path. You were the goal. You were the beloved you were always longing for. Let this land. Let it break you open. Let it free you. The Hermetic God is not waiting for your perfection. It is waiting for your presence. You were born into a split, not a small split, not an intellectual debate, a fracture so deep, so ancient, so total, that you do not even notice it is there. You were taught there is a world outside, and a world inside. You were taught there is matter, and there is mind. You were taught there is body, and there is spirit, and you have been running between these poles ever since. Look closely. Why do you meditate? To escape the body. Why do you seek success? To silence the mind. Why do you chase love, power, knowledge? To fill the hollow space that no accomplishment seems to touch. You are caught in a trance of separation, and this trance has a cost. You feel it as restlessness, as loneliness, as the ache of never quite arriving, the sense that life is happening just out of reach, that you are missing something essential, and you do not know what. But here's the secret. No one tells you. The thing you are missing is not missing. It is here. Now. You are swimming in it. You are breathing it. You are made of it. The Corpus Hermeticum whispers it through every line. Mind and matter are not two. They are one. Not connected. Not interacting. Not balanced. One. This is not a theory. This is the structure of reality. And until you see it, not just understand it, but feel it, embody it, you will be caught in the suffering of separation. Pause. Let's look deeper. What is mind? We think it is thought. We think it is that voice in the head, that flickering stream of images, memories, judgments. But that is only surface mind. Beneath it is something older. A knowing without words. A presence that feels, senses, tastes the world not as concept, but as vibration. What is matter? We think it is dead, solid, lifeless. We think it is the floor under your feet, the chair you sit on, the objects you own. But look closer. Matter is not dead. It dances. It hums. It moves in patterns so intricate, so intelligent, they make your thoughts look crude by comparison. Atoms spin, molecules weave, cells breathe, Stars are born and die in rhythms older than language. Mind and matter are one field, one process, one movement. And you are that movement pretending to be separate. This is why you suffer. Not because you are broken, not because you are unworthy, not because you need to improve, but because you believe you are cut off. You believe you are a mind inside a body, navigating a world. You believe you are an observer, looking at life from the outside. You believe you are alone. But you are not. You are not in the universe. You are the universe, looking back at itself, tasting itself, learning itself. Let's make this real. Have you ever sat by the ocean and felt your own heartbeat merge with the crashing waves? Have you ever looked into someone's eyes and felt the edges of yourself dissolve? Have you ever stood in the forest, under the stars, in the middle of heartbreak or ecstasy or stillness, and felt the sudden, terrifying, beautiful realization? I am this. Not I have this. Not I see this. I am this. That is the glimpse. That is the crack in the trance. But then, the mind rushes back. The definitions snap into place. I am this body. I am this story. I am this role, this name, this history, this future. And the split returns. Mind, matter, inner, outer, spirit, world. And the ache begins again. But what if, just for a moment, you stopped trying to fix the ache and entered it? What if you let it take you to the root? What if you realized the ache is not a flaw? It is the pressure of unity calling you back. The Corpus Hermeticum is not a guidebook for personal mastery. It is a mirror for collapse. It is a medicine for the fracture. As above, so below. As within, so without. These are not pretty phrases. They are instructions. They are alarms. They are keys. When you truly live them, you stop chasing. You stop splitting. You stop dividing life into compartments of sacred and profane, spiritual and material, inner work and outer work. You begin to see everything is one work. Your grief, your joy, your hunger, your stillness, your failures, your awakenings, all of it. One movement of the one. And you are not a passenger on this journey. You are the journey. You are the dance. You are the field in which mind becomes matter, and matter sings mind back to itself. So let me ask you, where in your life do you feel most split? Where do you push away your own body? Where do you distrust your own mind? Where do you escape into spirit to avoid form? Where do you escape into form to avoid spirit? That is your place of practice. That is your doorway. That is your invitation. Because the way home is not up or down, it is through the body, through the world, through the ache, not to transcend matter, but to see it as radiant mind, not to master the mind, but to see it as living matter. This is the Hermetic secret. This is the hidden teaching. This is the unspeakable truth you have always known. Let it break you open. Let it undo you. Let it remind you. Because at the bottom of every breath, every thought, every movement, there is only this. Not two, not many, only one. And the one is not elsewhere. It is here. It is now. It is you. The living, breathing, trembling, dissolving edge of being, tasting itself as mind, as matter, as this. You have heard the phrase, as above, so below. Maybe it was on a book cover, maybe on a tattoo, maybe on a whispered post in a spiritual group, offered like a magic formula, like a shortcut to the mysteries. But have you ever stopped to ask, what does it really mean? Not what you were told it means, not what you hope it means, but what it demands. Let's slow down here. Let's take it deeper. Most people think, as above, so below, means the universe reflects itself. The stars influence the human. The macro shapes the micro. The spiritual shapes the material. So we start looking upward, outward, away. We study astrology. We analyze energy patterns. We chase cosmic signs, hoping that if we understand the bigger picture, we can control the smaller one. But here's the uncomfortable truth. As above, so below is not about control. It is not about predicting outcomes. It is not about unlocking secret powers to master life. It is about undoing the idea that you were ever separate to begin with. The Hermetic tradition is not interested in giving you techniques to manifest your desires. It is interested in dissolving the one who desires. So, what is the real meaning? Above and below are not two locations. They are not two realms stacked like floors in a cosmic building. They are two faces of one movement, two breaths of one presence. Above is not the heavens, floating somewhere beyond your reach. Above is the formless, the unseen, the pattern, the intelligence. Below is not the dirt, the struggle, the chaos. Below is the form, the embodiment, the dance of matter and light. And here's the key. They are folded into each other. Not connected, not mirrored, folded, entwined, co-arising. Every gesture you make here, in your body, in your life, in your speech, vibrates through the above. And every pattern in the above expresses itself through the below. But you were never taught this. You were taught that the material world is profane, dirty, separate. You were taught that transcendence means escape. You were taught that enlightenment means rising up, away, beyond. And so you split yourself. You meditate to silence the body. You diet to punish the body. You work to numb the spirit. You spiritualize to reject the earth. You bounce between poles, ambition and surrender, pleasure and denial, attachment and rejection, never realizing the split is the wound. But the Corpus Hermeticum offers something terrifyingly different. It does not tell you to leave the world. It tells you to see through it. It does not ask you to transcend form. It asks you to recognize form as spirit, spirit as form. You have never been apart. You have never been divided. You have only forgotten how to see. Let me ask you something and be honest. Where in your life do you carry the ache of separation? Is it in your relationship to your body? The way you judge it, hate it, fear it, control it? Is it in your relationship to work? The way you sacrifice yourself or hide or seek worth through achievement? Is it in your relationship to spirituality? The way you chase awakening as a prize, a badge, a way to escape being human? Where do you tell yourself, this is just ordinary, just mundane, just survival? It has nothing to do with the divine? That is your fracture point. That is where as above, so below comes to break you open. Because here's the real meaning. Everything you touch is touching you back. Everything you give attention to is shaping you. Every thought, every word, every choice, every breath is part of the field. Not just echoing outward, but reshaping the pattern itself. You are not downstream from reality. You are reality, bending back on itself. When you love someone, you are loving the fabric of existence. When you hurt someone, you are hurting the fabric you also wear. When you stand in silence and simply breathe, you are the meeting point of above and below. But this is not just mystical poetry. It has consequences. If you carry resentment, the field tightens. If you move with generosity, the field opens. If you act with integrity, the field sings through you. If you act with deception, the field splits. You are not rewarded or punished by an outside force. You are shaping the mirror you live inside. So pause. What mirror are you living inside right now? What stories are you projecting onto the world? What patterns are you reinforcing with your attention, your habits, your reactions? As above, so below does not just mean the universe is a reflection. It means you are an active participant. You are a node in the web, humming, vibrating, sending, and receiving. And when you start to live from this, your life becomes charged. The walk to your car is no longer mundane. It is a ritual. The conversation with a stranger is no longer random. It is an exchange. The way you touch your own skin is no longer routine. It is communion. But here's the most beautiful and painful part. When you wake up to this unity, you also wake up to its grief. You feel the pain of the world as your pain. You feel the hunger of the world as your hunger. You feel the joy of the world as your joy. You become transparent, porous, tender, not as a burden, as a gift, because the below was never lesser. It was never the exile. It was the doorway. The above was never out of reach. It was never the prize. It was the breath moving through everything you have ever touched, tasted, held, lost, longed for. So what does "as above, so below" really ask of you? Not to master it, not to use it, not to own it, to embody it, to walk the earth as if it were the sky, to hold the sky as if it were your own trembling hands, to break the trance of separation, not by thinking about it but by living through it, right now, in the middle of your life, in the middle of your mess, in the middle of your miracles. You are not apart. You are not alone. You are not climbing toward the divine. You are the divine unfolding as this moment. Feel it. Let it hurt. Let it heal. Let it make you humble. Let it make you fierce. This is the meaning you missed. This is the meaning you were born to remember. You were born under a sky you did not choose, stars you never asked for, a family you did not select, a body, a culture, a history that wrapped themselves around you before you even had words. And from the moment you became aware, you began to ask, even if only silently, am I free? Do I have any say? Or is all of this already written and I am just acting it out? Step by step, you feel it when you look back on your life. Why did I meet this person? Why did this loss happen? Why do certain patterns keep pulling me back no matter how hard I fight? Sometimes you feel like the author. Sometimes you feel like the puppet. And somewhere in you, beneath the surface, lives the ache of not knowing. The ache of wondering if you are a dancer or a marionette, a creator or a captive. This is one of the oldest questions in human history. It's the heartbeat of philosophy, religion, mysticism. Fate or free will? The Hermetic teachings offer an answer, but it is not an answer for the faint of heart. Because it does not give you comfort. It gives you a paradox. It tells you, you are both, and you are neither. Let's slow this down. Let's walk through it carefully. First, fate. The fate you carry is not the cold hand of an indifferent universe. It is not a punishment. It is not a trap. It is the momentum of your being. Think of an ocean wave. The wave does not appear out of nowhere. It is born from wind, water, gravity, the shape of the sea floor, the pull of the moon, the memory of storms thousands of miles away. You, the you sitting here now, are that wave. You are the child of conditions you cannot even name. The ancestral stories woven into your blood, the cultural currents shaping your desires, the personality shaped by traumas you barely remember, the archetypal patterns moving through your soul, older than your body, older than your name. This is your fate. But here's where it gets strange. You are not only the wave, you are the sea. You are not only the conditions, you are the awareness moving through them. And this is where free will comes in, but not the free will you were taught. You were taught free will means doing whatever you want, choosing without limits, being in total control. But real free will is not the power to escape your life. It is the power to meet it. It is the power to choose how you dance with what is here. It is the power to bring presence to patterns, light to shadow, tenderness to wound, curiosity to challenge. You are not free from your fate. You are free inside it. This is the paradox. And it is not abstract. It lives in the smallest moments of your day. You wake up tired. You feel the heaviness of old habits, old thoughts, old stories pressing in. Fate, but then, a flicker, a pause, a breath. You choose to meet it differently. Not to deny it, not to erase it. To meet it, to soften around it, to let it move through you with less resistance, more presence, free will. Or take a bigger example. The grief you carry, the heartbreak you survived, the loss that cracked you open. You did not choose those things. They came for you. They shaped you. They marked you. But how you carry them now, that is yours. Do you harden? Do you collapse? Do you let them make you smaller? Or do you let them carve space inside you for more tenderness, more humility, more depth? That is your freedom. And here's the most radical part. Your freedom reshapes your fate. Not in a magic wand way, not as wishful thinking, but as participation. Because the more consciously you meet your patterns, the more they soften. The more tenderly you walk your path, the more it unfolds in new directions. The more presence you bring to the places you feel trapped, the more you become porous to grace. You are not a prisoner. You are not a god. You are the edge where fate and freedom meet, again and again, in every breath. But most of us avoid this edge. Some of us collapse into fate. We tell ourselves, this is just how I am. I can't help it. My past made me. My trauma defines me. My astrology locks me in. We give up. We go numb. We let life live us. Others collapse into control. We tell ourselves, I make my own destiny. I control my reality. If I just align hard enough, heal fast enough, manifest big enough, I can outrun everything. We get rigid. We get anxious. We make life a project, a performance, a relentless self-improvement plan. Both are traps. The Hermetic path calls you into the middle. The middle where you are fully responsible and fully surrendered. The middle where you are deeply human and more than human. The middle where you do not own life and life does not own you. This is where true power lives. But it is not a power you can possess. It is a power you participate in. And that participation costs you everything false. It costs you your certainty. It costs you your identity as victim or master. It costs you your illusions of control, your myths of helplessness. It gives you instead the fierce, trembling, holy ground of presence. Here, now, this breath, this choice, this surrender, this dance. Let me ask you, where do you most feel caught right now? Where in your life do you tell yourself, I have no choice? And where do you exhaust yourself trying to control what was never yours to hold? Those are your altars. Those are your teachers. Those are the places where fate and freedom are inviting you to wake up, to soften, to co-create. Not as an escape, as an embodiment. Not as a magic trick, as a deepening. Not as a solution, as a living relationship. The wave and the sea. The pattern and the presence. The story and the awareness that holds the story. This is your life. This is your art. This is your alchemy. And it is unfolding, right now, in you, whether you know it or not, whether you believe it or not, whether you resist it or surrender to it. But if you listen, if you stay close, if you walk the edge with humility, you may find the one thing you have been chasing all along. Not freedom from life, freedom in it, not power over life, power with it, not certainty, intimacy. This is what the Hermetic teachings whisper. This is what they have always whispered, not as dogma, as invitation, as memory, as home. There is a knowing older than books, older than words, older than thought itself. It is the knowing that lives in the bones, in the breath, in the stillness before memory. The Hermetic tradition calls it gnosis. Not knowledge, not information, not belief, direct knowing. And if you misunderstand this, you will spend your whole life seeking and never arriving. Let's begin here. You live in an age of information. You can access ancient texts with a click. You can memorize the names of gods, the maps of chakras, the formulas of manifestation, the hierarchies of angels, the steps of spiritual practice. And yet, why does it not satisfy? Why, after all the books, the workshops, the teachers, the meditations, do you still feel restless? Why does the hunger remain quiet but relentless, gnawing under every achievement, every breakthrough, every insight? Because knowledge is not gnosis. Knowledge fills the mind. Gnosis empties it. Knowledge is accumulation. Gnosis is annihilation. Knowledge says, I know about God. Gnosis says, I am dissolved in God. Knowledge says, I understand the path. Gnosis says, there is no path, only this. This is why the Corpus Hermeticum speaks not of theories, but of transformation. Not of acquiring, but of remembering. Not of grasping, but of being grasped. But let's go deeper. Most seekers today are caught in a loop. They begin with longing, a genuine ache, a sacred discontent, a sense that there is more. They turn to teachers, books, systems, hoping to find the map. They begin to collect, practices, initiations, techniques, identities. They feel moments of expansion, followed by collapse. They chase the next high, the next download, the next sign, but something is missing. Because no matter how much you collect, the seeker self remains intact. The one who seeks, who hungers, who desires, who defines, that self survives. And as long as that self survives, gnosis remains out of reach. Why? Because gnosis is not something the self achieves. It is what remains when the self is shattered. This is the terrifying beauty of the Hermetic path. It does not promise you enlightenment as an upgrade. It does not offer awakening as a possession. It does not flatter your ego with visions of specialness. It invites you to die to your ideas of who you are, to die to your images of the divine, to die to your grasping, your avoidance, your posturing, your seeking, and in that death, to fall into the raw, naked, immediate presence of what is. That is gnosis, the direct knowing of reality as it is without separation, the knowing that burns, that dissolves, that remakes you from the inside. But here's where it gets subtle. Gnosis is not a permanent state. It is not a trophy. It is not a place you arrive and then live forever in bliss. It is a continual invitation, a continual falling away, a continual remembering. It can touch you in a moment of grief, when the ground collapses and all your defenses fail. It can touch you in a moment of joy when your heart opens wider than you thought possible. It can touch you in silence, in music, in touch, in solitude, in communion, in stillness. It is not limited to practice. It is not confined to tradition. It is the living pulse of the real, breaking through your illusions. But most of us resist it, because it costs everything. It costs your certainty. It costs your identity. It costs your story of how life works. It costs your strategies of control, avoidance, and achievement. This is why the Hermetic texts speak again and again of purification. Not moral purity, but the burning away of what is false. The false self, the false God, the false seeker, until only presence remains. So let me ask you, where do you hide? Where do you clutch knowledge to feel safe? Where do you chase experiences to avoid emptiness? Where do you build spiritual identity to protect yourself from surrender? These are your altars. These are your gateways. And they are trembling even now, because the truth is, you have always known. Even as a child, before words, before stories, before roles, you knew. In the ache for love, in the wonder at the sky, in the fear of death, in the longing for home. That knowing has never left, but it has been buried, under layers of noise, defense, striving, forgetting. The path of gnosis is not about gaining something new. It is about clearing the rubble. It is about stripping away until the raw pulse of being is felt again. Fierce, tender, overwhelming, alive. And when that happens, you do not become special. You become real. You become human, fully, and you become more than human, simultaneously. You carry the ordinary and the infinite in the same hands. You speak the nameable and the unnameable with the same breath. You walk as a fracture and a flame, knowing that the fracture is the place the flame pours through. But here's the challenge. The world will try to pull you back, into distraction, into division, into forgetting. It will tell you to fix yourself, improve yourself, achieve yourself. It will tell you that awakening is somewhere else, someone else, someday. But the path of gnosis says, stop. Right here, right now, in this body, in this breath, in this moment. What is here when nothing is added? What remains when the seeking falls silent? What shines when you are not trying to shine? That is where the door opens. Not in grand visions, not in cosmic downloads, not in secret teachings, in the unbearable simplicity of what is, in the love that pulses under your fear, in the stillness that holds your chaos, in the light that flickers in your grief. This is gnosis. This is what you have always known. This is what has always been waiting, not as a reward, as your own reflection, seen at last. So, walk gently, strip back the unnecessary, stay close to the ground of your being, and remember, You are not here to find God. You are here to dissolve into what you never left. You have been told that awakening is something you achieve, that if you study hard enough, meditate long enough, purify deeply enough, practice perfectly enough, you will arrive. Arrive where? To some shining place, some final state, some ultimate knowledge, where all the doubts fall away, where you stand above the world smiling wisely, untouchable, victorious, enlightened. This is the lie. The most seductive, most persistent, most devastating lie on the spiritual path, because it keeps you seeking forever. It keeps you accumulating. It keeps you polishing the mirror of the ego, calling it awakening. But the Hermetic path has no interest in your accumulation. It is not here to make you more. It is here to make you less defended, less armored, less certain, less separate. Not emptier in the sense of lacking, but emptier in the sense of open, porous, alive, free of the tight grip that says, me, mine, I know, I have, I must. This is gnosis, not knowledge, not data, not beliefs, not opinions, direct knowing. Knowing that does not pass through the mind, knowing that burns through the mind. Let's pause here. What does that even mean? It means you stop standing outside life, trying to understand it. You stop holding the divine at arm's length, analyzing, categorizing, dissecting. You stop treating yourself as an object to improve, a problem to solve, a project to perfect. You fall in. You dissolve. You remember. But this remembering is not adding something new. It is the collapse of the one who thought it was separate. This is why the path of gnosis is so feared, so avoided, so misunderstood. Because it is not about what you gain. It is about what you lose. You lose the stories. You lose the images. You lose the control. You lose the need to be someone. You lose the grip on the world as object, the self as center, the divine as elsewhere. And in that losing, something extraordinary happens. You find yourself, not the self you imagined, not the self you built, not the self you defended, the self that is no self. The self that is just this. Breath, moment, pulse, presence, aliveness, this. Let's bring this down to earth. Why do you feel so exhausted on the path? Why do you feel like you are always chasing, reading more, healing more, processing more, reaching for more, but never arriving? Because you are trying to bring the old self into the new life. You are trying to awaken without surrender. You are trying to hold the flame without being burned. You are trying to touch the infinite while keeping the boundaries intact. But gnosis has no interest in your boundaries. It moves like water. It slips through the cracks. It washes away the floor. It leaves you drenched, trembling, alive, not superior, not invincible, not above the world, intimately, tenderly, fiercely embedded in the world. Suddenly, you look at the sky, and you cry. Suddenly you hold a child, and you break. Suddenly you touch your own skin, and you feel the cosmos trembling through it. This is not mystical poetry. This is what happens when the walls fall. You become transparent to the real, not as a permanent state, not as a fixed achievement, but as an opening, again and again. It humbles you. It humanizes you. It softens you. It sharpens you, because now you can no longer pretend. You can no longer hide behind teachings. You can no longer protect yourself with roles. You can no longer armor yourself with identity. You are naked, vulnerable, awake, and free. Not free to do whatever you want. Free to be here, to be now, to be this, whatever is arising. Gnosis is not a prize. It is not reserved for the elect. It is not earned by effort or purchased by sacrifice. It is your birthright. It is your essence. It is the home you never left, the love you never lost, the truth you never lacked. But to taste it, you must be willing to stop pretending you are apart. You must be willing to break open, to break down, to break free, not by force, by grace, by the grace of surrender, by the grace of humility, by the grace of remembering what you are, beneath the stories, beneath the striving, beneath the fear. So let me ask you, where are you still clinging? Where are you still seeking as a way to avoid finding? Where are you still using the path to delay the arrival? And can you, even for a breath, even for a heartbeat, let it go? Let the image fall. Let the effort fall. Let the self fall. And feel, just feel, what remains. That is gnosis. Not tomorrow, not after enlightenment. Now, always now. It has been waiting. It has been calling. It has been aching through you, through your longing, through your grief, through your love, through your breaking. The mind will never grasp it. The heart will never own it. The body will never contain it. But you, the vast, spacious, luminous you, can live it. Not as an idea, as a presence, as a pulse, as a path. And when you forget, and you will forget, come back. Come back, again and again, to the breath, to the ground, to the mystery, to the flame. This is the path. This is the gift. This is the surrender that is not loss, but the only true gain. And you are ready. You have made it here, to the end. At least that's what your mind tells you. That you are finishing something. That there was a line you crossed, a teaching you completed, a box you can now check off. Understood. But stop. Breathe. Feel into this moment. Does this really feel like an ending? Or does it feel, in some quiet, aching place inside you, like a beginning? You came seeking the Corpus Hermeticum. You wanted to understand the hidden teachings, the ancient wisdom, the esoteric secrets. You wanted the map, the key, the formula, and perhaps along the way you were surprised. Because instead of answers, you found unravelings. Instead of certainty, you found paradox. Instead of clear paths, you found doors that led into yourself. And now, here we are. The final moment, the so-called conclusion. And I have to tell you something that may break your heart and liberate it at the same time. The real Corpus Hermeticum is not a book. It is not a set of doctrines. It is not a collection of spiritual trivia. It is a mirror. And you are what it reflects. You are the text. You are the mystery. You are the experiment. You are the dissolution and the remembrance, the question and the answer, the exile and the homecoming. Let's step back, breathe again, and walk through this together. You wanted to know about the Hermetic God. You discovered it was not a creator in the sky, not a judge, not a puppet master, but the pulse moving through your breath, the spaciousness behind your thoughts, the intimacy you run from and long for at the same time. You wanted to understand mind and matter. You learned they are not two, not opposites, not even mirrors, but one field, one flow, one shimmering play of form and formless, where your body is mind and your mind is body, and the world is not outside you, but appearing again and again as you. You wanted to decode, as above, so below. You learned it was not a slogan, not a cosmic vending machine, not a cute spiritual tattoo, but a call to wholeness, a reminder that everything you touch, you shape, and everything you shape touches you back. You wanted to solve the riddle of fate and free will. You found yourself standing in the river, realizing you are not the current, not the stone, not the swimmer, but all three. The flow and the form and the freedom, meeting, splitting, rejoining in the great ungraspable dance of being. You wanted to understand death and rebirth. You discovered that dying is not someday. It is now. It is every time you let go of an image, every time you loosen a grip, every time you surrender a false self and let life live you, raw, trembling, unmasked. You wanted gnosis, and you learned. It was never about what you could collect. It was about what you could lose. Not information, not enlightenment, not status, but direct, naked knowing, the kind that burns through you, the kind that unravels you, the kind that leaves you standing at the edge of everything you thought you were, and stepping, trembling, humble, awake, into what you have always been. And now, here, at the so-called end, I need to tell you the most important part. The point is not to finish the teaching, the point is to let the teaching finish you. Not as a failure, as a homecoming. So let me speak plainly. To truly read the Corpus Hermeticum today, you do not need to become an expert. You do not need to memorize the lines. You do not need to decode the symbols. You need to live, to walk through your ordinary life as if it were the sacred text, to read the body you inhabit, the relationships you carry, the fears you hide, the longings you nurse, the heartbreaks you carry like scars under the skin, as the living scripture they are. You need to walk through the world as if the divine were not elsewhere, but aching in every crack, shining in every face, whispering in every silence, burning in every breath. You need to stop waiting for permission, for certainty, for someone else to tell you it's time. It has always been time. You are already at the altar. You are already at the threshold. You are already standing in the fire. And yes, you will forget. You will fall back into old patterns, old stories, old wounds, old fears. That is not the failure. That is the practice. That is the path. That is the pulse. The work is not to never fall. The work is to remember, to return, to surrender again, to open again, to trust again. Not someday, now, always now. So here, as we close, let me offer you something simple, a blessing maybe, a reminder, a whisper. You are not outside the mystery. You are the mystery. You are not waiting to awaken. You are awakening here, now, in the ache, in the wonder, in the confusion, in the beauty, in the mess of this ordinary, holy, impossible life. You are not meant to master the teachings. You are meant to become transparent to them, to let them hollow you out, soften you, reshape you, until the light that has always been here shines through you without distortion, without ownership, without need. If you have felt something stir in you during this journey, hold it. Not tightly, not possessively, gently, tenderly. Let it ripple into your conversations. Let it soften the way you meet strangers. Let it humble the way you carry your pain. Let it awaken the way you touch the world. And if you lose it, good. It was never yours to keep. It was yours to remember again and again until remembrance becomes the rhythm of your life. And yes, if you need reminders, if you want to walk deeper into these mysteries, this channel is here. These videos are here. This journey is here. Not as entertainment, as invitation, as reflection, as reminder. But the real temple, it is you. The real text, it is your life. The real practice, it is how you meet this moment. So go, not to escape, to enter, not to finish, to begin again, not to become more spiritual, to become more human, and in becoming more human, to remember the divinity that has never left you. Thank you for walking this far. Thank you for breaking open. Thank you for daring to let the old stories fall away. We are here, together, not to master the mystery, to live it.